So here we are. I have done something I did not think I was going to do about 2 years ago, and I have returned to my old YouTube channel. But unfortunately, it is not a long term thing because I am just here to talk about the new Demon Hunter album, War and Peace. Now, for those of you who are familiar with this channel, you know why I've come back to talk about this album. For those of you who might not be familiar with this channel, basically, Demon Hunter was the lifeblood of this channel for a long time. When I was a teenager and I ran this channel, Demon Hunter was my favorite band, just ever. I really loved Demon Hunter. I reviewed all of their albums on this channel. I was part of the album hype cycle whenever a new album was coming out, and, it was a lot of fun back then. But during the end of this channel, I started really growing out of Demon Hunter, and to really top it all off, they released an album, Outlive, which at the time I was very excited for and very let down by. I didn't really like the album Outlive, and that review that I put out for it is, I think most people would agree, my most hated video ever by Demon Hunter fans who thought I was wrong and thought that the album was great. But it's been a few years since then, and I think now the consensus is starting to change, and most people are ready to admit that Outlive wasn't exactly Demon Hunter's best work. Personally, not only did I not like the album when it first came out, but that's really only a feeling that has intensified since the album has come out. I think I originally gave the album a 5 out of 10 or something around those lines. The score would be much lower now. I think it's an absolutely abysmal album. And so when I heard that Demon Hunter was making a new album, there's a part of me that hoped that they would put out something that would win me back over and make me a fan of this band again, even though it's kind of unlikely considering the trajectory that Outlive placed them on. And now we're here, their new double album, War and Peace, is out, and yes, it's a double album. Ryan Clark keeps saying it's not a double album because it's in 2 separate CD packages. But the thing about it is, these albums were meant to be listened to together. That's pretty clear. It's a double album, okay? It's a double album. The only thing you did by putting it in 2 separate packages is inconveniencing anyone who wants to buy the album, because now they have to make 2 separate purchases and have 2 separate CDs in 2 separate cases. That's all you're doing is inconveniencing people by not admitting that it's a double album. Stop being pretentious, okay? Just admit it's a double album. But yeah, it's War and Peace. One album's supposed to be really heavy. One album's supposed to be full of ballads. Demon Hunter's not the only band to try to do this. One notable band that's done this has been Swallow the Sun, and they did it in a triple album that was similar to this, one heavy album, one soft album, and one that's in the middle, and they did it to pretty great success. A lot of people really loved that album. And, well, Demon Hunter didn't really do it as good as they did, but I guess I'm getting ahead of myself. This might be a longer video, so I might put timestamps on screen for the albums War and Peace, depending on what you want to jump to. Before we really get into War, I want to say that one of the things that I've always liked about Demon Hunter and liked about them before was that even though they were technically considered a metalcore band, they never really seemed to fully embrace that label. In fact, they seemed to do a lot of things to try to get away from that label and to try to make an identity unique to themselves apart from that label. And in that way, they were sort of artistically unique. And on Outlive, one of the disappointing things about it was they just seemed to sort of embrace that label and just play to all of the tropes and cliches of metalcore and the type of music that they are expected to play. And that was a bad omen for me, and unfortunately, it rings true here as well. They dig their feet into the ground and pretty much say that, yeah, we're comfortable with being just a metalcore band. We don't want to experiment. We don't want to try to do anything else. We're just going to put out cliche metalcore. And that's really all the album War is. They haven't really done anything on this album to try to artistically improve on their sound or on the sound of metalcore. If you're going to put out a metalcore album in 2019, it better be some damn good metalcore. And unfortunately, this isn't. And the reason I say that is because metalcore was for the scene kids back 12 years ago. They don't exist anymore. They've grown up. I was a scene kid, okay, admittedly. I don't exist. I don't listen to that music anymore. If I do, it's like, As I Lay Dying or Slipknot. It's the good stuff that has survived since then. It's not stuff like that's on War, that's for sure. So Demon Hunter really needs to move past this metalcore sound, but it's apparent with this album that they just aren't willing to do that. The album starts out with the song Cut to Fit, which features really bad synths at the beginning, but that's a trend that's definitely not going to stop on either of these albums. And it also has a really bad chorus with Ryan trying to sing this really, really soft, calm melody, but at the same time, he's also screaming it. And that obviously doesn't work very well. It's a very bad clash, and it just makes it even worse considering that the melody is already just so flat and lifeless. Then we get to a track like On My Side, which was one of the leading singles from this album, and it's really disappointing because, like a lot of the songs on this album, it just sounds like generic metalcore with generic metalcore chugging riffs. Like, it's just not, it's not very attention grabbing. The chorus, I will admit, has a nice ring to it, but the lyrics just aren't there. They don't have the punch to them that would make this chorus really effective. Then we have a song like Close Enough, which starts out terrible with a terrible verse, but then is redeemed by a pretty good chorus that just soars. Songs like Unbound and Ash are Demon Hunter's attempt to recreate the brutality of songs like Crucifix, Storm the Gates of Hell, and the like, but it just doesn't work. Again, it just seems like really lazily written and repetitive metalcore. Even if these were put on a metalcore album from 2006, I really don't think that they would have been considered good songs. I think at the very best, they would have been considered filler songs. They're not good songs, and I think it's a testament to where Demon Hunter is as a band. I don't think their passion in music is for creating this really brutal music. I don't think that's what they want to create at all. Their, interests are somewhere else. I don't know where they're at, but it's not in these sort of brutal songs that they're trying to pull off here, because it doesn't work. It really doesn't work in this album. It sounds really bad. No Place for You Here is an awful song. It has an awful verse, one of the worst verses in a Demon Hunter song ever. I don't know what the guitars are trying to do in this song, but it clashes really terribly with everything else in the song. It creates a very unpleasant discord. And to add insult to injury, the chorus just sounds really half-assed. It's one of the worst Demon Hunter choruses, I think, ever. But this album isn't all bad. There is one genuinely good song on here, and that is the closing track, Lesser Gods. It's the best song on this disc, really. It seems like Demon Hunter in this song is finally trying to progress creatively and take their sound in different places. It sounds like they're really embracing their melodic death metal influences like Dark Tranquillity here to create some really nice, great, tight guitar work that just has this really high energy. It's a song similar to I Play Dead off of Summer of Darkness, but unlike I Play Dead, I think it does an even better job at balancing this really high energy, but also this really low tempo melody. And it just creates this really unique song that we haven't really heard from Demon Hunter before, with their really unique song structure, and it's just something I really like, and I wish they did more experimentation like this on the rest of this album. I'm talking both discs here. If they had made more creative risks like this, maybe this album would have been good. But I'm getting ahead of myself. So overall, War, this is a pretty bad disc. There's really only one good song off of it, and it's the only one on Spotify that I saved to my library. I guess that's better than Outlive, because I have 0 songs saved from that, but whatever. Also, despite the promise of brutality with an album like War, it really isn't all that relentless. It struggles to meet even the intensity of old Demon Hunter tracks like stuff from the Triptych or Summer of Darkness, or even stuff as recent as The Extremist is heavier than the stuff on War. And often the album just completely abandons pursuing being heavy at all in favor of tracks like Grey Matter, which on, again, an album like War, which is supposed to be heavy all the way through, just sound really misplaced. And now we move on to the second part of this double album, Peace, which again is supposed to be the more melodic ballad fields type thing, which I'm sure is going to excite a large section of Demon Hunter fans, because when I was a big Demon Hunter fan, I remember distinctly, a section of the Demon Hunter fan base that just wanted an album full of ballads. That's like all they ever asked for. I never understood why, because sure, their ballads were good, but like, why would you ever want that? But now they finally have it, so maybe they'll finally shut up. Probably to their delights, out of the 2 discs of this double album, this is the better album. That doesn't mean to say it's all good though. In fact, I find that this album is also pretty hard to review because the songs are pretty forgettable. Most of these songs are just so bland and lifeless. There's no haunting melodies on most of these songs like we come to expect from Demon Hunter ballads. I can still very clearly recall choruses to songs like I Will Fail You or Dead Flowers. Not so much for most of the songs here. There are some highlights here. When the Devil Comes is a pretty great track. It channels a sort of western, southern maybe that's the word I'm looking for, southern instead of western. Anyhow, it channels this sort of southern rock energy that they've been trying to pull off for the last few albums here, just really unsuccessfully, and it does that really well here, I think. It takes this energy that was misplaced at first in every other Demon Hunter song that's tried it and really makes it pop. It has, again, that signature Demon Hunter haunting energy that a lot of the songs, both on this album and War, lack. Recuse Myself was one of the main singles off of this album, and it is one of the better songs off of this album. It's a song like Dead Flowers. It's just a slow, haunting melody that works really well. It's one of the best songs, if not the best song, across both of these albums, or discs rather. But then we get to things like the title track, Peace, and this is by far one of the worst Demon Hunter songs ever. When this was released as a single, I said that, and I still say that. It's downright awful. Again, we have misplaced synths on this song, and they are awful. I didn't even know they were synths at first when I first listened to this song. I didn't know what they were. It sounds like a cross between an out-of-tune guitar and like some kind of instrument that's been stuffed full of freaking marshmallows. It sounds terrible, and I don't know why they put these synths in the song, but it just makes a terrible song even worse. The chorus in this song sounds really, really awkward. It doesn't work at all. And to top all of it off, the lyrics to this song are not good. They're just not good. More Than Bones is a track that, again, has terrible synths on top of just being a song that doesn't sound like Demon Hunter at all. It doesn't sound like a Demon Hunter at all. It sounds honestly like a run-of-the-mill Christian rock band. It's really disappointing. Then again, like on the album War, we have songs that are kind of in the middle of the road, like Two Ways, which has verses that are so awkward it sounds like the instruments and Ryan Clark are trying to perform 2 different songs, but then you get to the chorus that almost redeems it, except for the middle of it kind of stumbles and gets awkward. Then the closing track on this song, they try to experiment again, which I appreciate, but I'm not really sure it fully pays off. It's a piano ballad, which I'm sure a lot of fans are happy about. However, it just doesn't really work for me. Even though Ryan's vocals are pretty great, the piano instrumentals leave a lot to be desired. Juxtaposed to the passionate vocal performance that Ryan is giving in this song, the piano melody just seems really lifeless and bland with really no sense of progression, and it adds nothing to the song, honestly. It kind of feels like they just bought a piano loop off of some stock music website and just looped it behind Ryan's vocals for the duration of the song. It's not great. So yeah, Peace is better than War. There are a handful of songs on here that I liked, and there are more songs than War, which, I didn't necessarily like, but I didn't hate either. So because of that, it's better. Like, it's passable. I don't hate it. So overall, the verdict for this double album, War and Peace, unfortunately, it's not the album to win me back, as I hoped it would be. But it really only confirmed my suspicions that I had when I listened to Outlive for the first time, and that is that Demon Hunter has become a band who is sort of at a point in their career where they don't care about musically progressing or really doing anything new. They've found a niche and they've realized that their fan base is pretty solid and unshakable, and they can pretty much put the lowest effort possible into their music and still get decent sales from their fan base. And that's what they're doing. They're just churning out really predictable music that you would expect from them, and churning out music that sounds like really generic metalcore. And it's pretty clear they're okay with doing that. Even though it's a sound that is dated by 10 years, they know that their fans will really like it. In fact, I know this video is going to be downloaded a bunch by the fans, but you know, whatever. It's funny because some song titles on this album, like Leave Me Alone, probably what I'm going to have to be thinking after I start reading the comments for this video. But this is just another disappointing album to me from my former favorite band. Yeah, it is better than Outlive. It's not atrociously bad, but it is definitely not redeeming their career in any way. So, overall, I've got to give this new Demon Hunter album, War and Peace, 4 out of 10. And as far as my ratings for the albums individually, if I'm going to rate them the way Ryan wants me to rate them, because it's not actually a double album, but actually it is, I would give War a 3 out of 10, because it is really bad. There's only one song that's good all the way through. And the rest of it ranges from being to being really bad. And then I want to give Peace a 5 out of 10. Because again, there's a handful of songs on there that I really like. There's a good number of songs that aren't awful, but that I don't really like either. And then there's also some really terrible songs on it. So 5 out of 10. And then you combine both of those, 4 out of 10. Below average album, not something that I want to come back to anytime soon, with the exception of maybe a few songs. And that's it. That's really all I have to say about this new Demon Hunter album. Now, before any of my subscribers get excited, this, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, it's not a return for me for this channel. I'm not going to be making videos again regularly for this channel. This is pretty much a one-off thing that I'm going to be doing. And who knows, maybe next time Demon Hunter comes out with another album, I'll be seeing you guys again. But I make no promises. I just happen to have a lot of thoughts about this album. I didn't expect to, but I did. And I decided that it would be appropriate if I shared them all with you. So yeah, maybe you'll see me the next time Demon Hunter releases another album. Maybe you won't. But until we get to that point, you guys just keep it metal.